Okay, this might be one of the dopest clips. That one might be actually amazing. Oh my god, man, this looks crazy. Like, characters are coming in at such weird moments. It looks like MVCI, but like not. There's definitely some shades of Power Rangers Battle for the Grid in here too.
With each champion having 2 assists and some of them being chargeable, there is a lot to discover. But you can always change your fuse for the next match to find out what feels right. We're really excited for all the possibilities here.
That's fucking sick. That's actually sick as hell. So we can... Oh. Okay, hold on. I gotta keep it going, but this is insane. Oh! Oh! Oh my god! Jesus. Oh my god! What the... Oh my...
He can vary the timing of the rewind to mix up his opponent, recover for assist made by his teammates.
Nah, this character's hard. No. I think I'll definitely try it out and I'll definitely see what's going on. I'm even in the process of even trying out League of Legends. So I want to see Arcane as well.
Hey everyone, Sean here, and welcome to the Hawke Talks. I wanted to actually sit down and talk about a fighting game, which I haven't done in a while. This channel used to be all kinds of things, like just a general, just dumb, have fun with friends kind of channel to share those moments with friends. Then it became more of a gaming channel with Nintendo stuff, PlayStation, so on and so forth. But fighting games was definitely somewhere in there at some point. And also, I grew up playing fighting games like, you know, Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Soul Calibur 2, and Soul Edge in the arcade, and so on and so forth. You get the picture. I still consider myself a fighting game enthusiast, but not as strong as before. But I can offer, you know, at least more of like a generalistic overview / perspective on the fighting games nowadays, including 2XKO, of course, which I saw a game that had a lot of potential because this was a tag fighter featuring League of Legends characters. It was essentially a huge opportunity to have a game with that fighting game genre tag in there to be offered a chance to grow. And it did have, again, the ability to grow to exponential levels if done right. Unfortunately, in this particular case here, it wasn't. The ball was dropped, and I'm afraid that this was, you know, like a once-in-a-lifetime sort of shot, and they shot their shot, and this is all we're gonna get, I'm afraid. I would like to be wrong, but that's likely going to be the scenario in this unfortunate case here. 2XKO, yes, for those who don't know already, is going to be sunset by the end of this year, 2026, with the last character. I forget her name because I'm not that familiar with League of Legends characters. You know, it's the one with the pistols and stuff like that. That character will be the last character to be released for this game in October. And then the last whatever patch they're going to drop is going to be in December 2026. Beyond that, will be no more active development / updating for the game, which is just, again, it's such a tragic thing because, again, this has so much potential. You know, you're taking a genre that there are very passionate people in, and then you have a franchise that a lot of people love, especially within the gaming community. League of Legends, that name of itself is huge around the world. And of course, fighting games has this very passionate pool of people, right? So that does come with some baggage, right? Some sort of things to take into, nuances, right? When you're dealing with fighting games. But I think the overall problems in the broad spectrum of things is down to two things, right? There are probably other little sub notes and sub branches of what went wrong and stuff like that, but there are two main things that, you know, really put the nails into that coffin. One was the characters. And again, if you didn't know already, the game came out with just like 8 to 10 characters. Very few for a tag fighter, because tag fighters, you're gonna need to pick 2, and so you're gonna need a pretty broad spectrum of characters for you to start with for a fighting game like this. And especially for a game, if you look into the history of it, it actually started like a long time ago. Probably like around 10 years of development. In fact, I have a acquaintance who worked at Riot in some way or form that mentioned to me about Project L, or even before it was even called Project L. And they're working on this for a very, very long time from what I've gathered. And that really kind of like made me question things, because, this game took a very long time, yet, we came to that point for only to have 8 characters come out. That already was like a pretty weird sign, and then you had the other thing that happened when they made the announcement of dropping the staff by half, pretty much laying off the staff by half, which was very unfortunate. And I think that was something to be looked at as a sign, for the game's life cycle. At the time, I think I just looked at it as, well, hopefully they can work with the half of the people, but again, it should have been looked at as a warning sign, like, uh-oh, And then the other huge issue within the roster of characters, even over time, was sort of the diversity, right? When you look at it from a external perspective, these are just characters, right? But when you have somebody who is familiar with League of Legends, all they see is apparently a bunch of Arcane characters, because of course Arcane was a very popular thing that happened on the Netflix, and that was a way for people to get exposed to more of the League of Legends circle. And so apparently a lot of these characters were in the game, so that only hurt it a little further when it came to the variety of characters, right? And of course, on top of the fact that it only came out with this many characters, even as the roster grew, the inclusion was also somewhat of a problem as well. But I do also think, of course, the other huge problem was that the game lacked the content. I don't think there was really a sort of robust single player system or feature, just like you would see with Street Fighter 6 right now, with the World Tour mode and just the avatar stuff, and you can like essentially do something, right? You can collect the pieces, assemble and create your ridiculous or fun avatar. They can have all these moves or whatever. You just have stuff to do, and I think that's one of the important key things you gotta have for a video game, right? Because especially for a fighting game, when you have a fighting game that wants to appeal to the masses, right? Well, what do you have to do? You can't just cater to, unfortunately, the FGC or the fighting game community as well as much as it sounds like it makes sense, because fighting game people, we should cater to them. Unfortunately, it doesn't really always work out like that, and whenever they do that, most of the times it doesn't really land or stick all that well. When it comes to fighting games that are successful, they tend to try to add single player content or just things to do, because most of the sort of the FGC or the hardcore fighting game enthusiasts who play fighting games tend to take it online, and they do all the combos, the mix-ups, and all the doohickey stuff that will essentially demote the casual audience to essentially stop playing the game, because, well, they only wanted to just go hit buttons and win, right? Well, that's what really the single player content was there for, is for them to hit buttons, get accomplish stuff, right? which is essentially like a very, core essence of a video game, is to do stuff, collect things, achieve something, and then, make you feel good about that, right? That's kind of what's reminiscent of a video game, So at the end of the day, you really have to focus on making a video game, and a very effective one at that. Because if all you have is just the online portion, then it's not going to really last that long. And look what happened with something like Multiverses, another game that had vast potential. That actually, funny enough, that was the one I stuck with for a decent amount of time, and then it's sort of worn off. But that is kind of a different case, but end result is very much the same, because they made a lot of strange decisions. Besides the fact that they didn't have any robust single-player system or feature, the game was in beta form for a long time, and they decided to just like cut it off for 6 months and then fully release it. But then by that time, for some reason, they made the speed of the game slower, and then they made the monetization of the game just ridiculous. Which, yes, and not that I mentioned it, I heard that the monetization for 2XKO was ridiculous. The skins were mad expensive for what they were, and on top of the fact that, well, you have this video game that not many people are going to play, and you have the roster being a little small, right? A number of key things just went wrong, and that was kind of like, again, if you're like, paying attention to the game, something you would see come in when it comes to the grave, right? The coffin. But to have it be put to the coffin this quickly was just definitely surprising. I did not expect that. I definitely expected for the game to not be as big as League of Legends, of course, because League of Legends is that massive. But I think it was more like I wanted the game to grow to a decent size, but it never really got there because, yes, all those things I said, plus on top of the fact that I think Riot themselves had little to no faith in the life cycle of this game, or the potential of this game. The marketing also, another thing that went wrong, or not really. I mean, they kind of chose to market it this way. I mean, the amount of people that actually don't know this game was even a thing is actually pretty concerning. I've seen a number of comments in social media, especially on Twitter, of course, but social media, in the comments, I do see a decent amount of people not knowing this game was even a thing, or this game came out, or it was just, it does show that the marketing for the game wasn't top notch, especially if you're, when you're looking at Riot, right? Riot is a huge company, they make tons of money, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? They had access to AAA money, but the AAA care, motivation, all that stuff wasn't there. So this game definitely also had this sort of like budget nature to it, in a sense. Yes, the game looked great. The cell shading looked great. It had everything that could make a good fighting game, right? But the key features were just missing, and of course, the other key thing as well, the passion, the care for the game was definitely not there. Now, the devs themselves care for the game, of course, but the executive side of things was definitely not there. The sort of executive backbone was very, very, let's just say, lacking. That also made the game also be put that much closer, or, well, not much closer. It's already put in the coffin at this point. Like, it's just sad. Again, it's just so sad that this is the fate of the game now. We have another game that's been put into the coffin that has the live service sort of system or infrastructure, just like we've seen a number of games that have been put to the coffin, like High Guard, there's Concord, Multiverses, right? I mean, especially for Multiverses, right? Because that's another platform fighter or fighting game, excuse me. It's just sad, again, you know, and it's like, how could one really screw this up, you know? But I do like to point the finger more towards Riot, more so than anything. We had the right people for, I'm sure, for the dev side of things, the people who were working on the game. I mean, we had Seth Killian, who was very involved with the fighting game genre in his own right. Of course, we also have Apology Man. I forgive me for not knowing his real name, but Apology Man, I'm a pretty big fan of. He's a fighting game player across a number of games, and of course, so he had the experience of the fighting game circle, right? You know, people like that were working on the game, so the passion was definitely there, but the sort of the backbone or the important stuff, like the executive side, the money and the management, wasn't there. The identity of the game also probably went through some sort of crisis. I mean, there are probably plenty of go back and forths. Oh, dude, change this, change that. I'm sure, which is why it went 10 years, right, of development time. It's just such a long time. They should have just stuck with, you know, the core essence of a video game, then worry about being a fighting game, right? Because when you're trying to make it, you know, so that the hardcore would like it, it really shuts out who actually helps out the game the most, which is the casuals, right? It just it can't be helped. That's just how video games work or products work. You know, you gotta just sell it to the masses as much as possible. And yes, I mean, you know, when it comes to fighting games, there are some questionable choices, like the sort of accessibility stuff that's been kind of shoved in our face, like the modern controls and stuff like that. But I think most importantly, though, a lot of these games, though, just miss the key points, which is the character roster and or the story content or the single player content. But I honestly do think is more towards single player content, you know, personally for me, because again, if you don't have stuff for the casuals to do, then they're gonna fall off the game. They're gonna move on to the next thing quickly. And right now it seems like Tokone, Marvel Tokone, right, is kind of like that, the replacement for 2XKO, you know, which again, you know, it's, I guess that's kind of unfortunate timing, but I don't think, like, again, I don't think that would have been a problem. I think we can have coexisting fighting games if all these fighting games are good, right, or robust in features. Would not have been an issue, right? They can have their own little space, they can have their own little island, and they can coexist just fine, just like how we had other fighting games, you know, Street Fighter, Tekken, coexisting, Soul Calibur at some point, before that got pushed to the side, so on and so forth. You know, you just kind of have the core video game stuff in order for it to even be an effective video game kind of product. Because at the end of the day, I mean, people have already said this, the FGC and the hardcore players only make a small percentage. And so if you're going to cater to the small percentage, I mean, again, you're just not going to come out with a long-lasting product. It's kind of the harsh reality, you know. And, you know, when you look at it from the surface or on paper, that does sound like it makes sense. But you gotta, you know, pay attention to the rest of the demographic, right? The mass majority, you know, which is why it gets a little tricky, you know. It tends to fall into the pleasing everybody, like trying to please everybody, but, you know, and then winding up pleasing nobody, right? It does get tricky. I do understand that. That's just how things work. not even nowadays. That's just how it worked back in the day too. Oh, of course, a lot of like design philosophies and this and that, you know, when it comes to game development, have changed over time. When, you know, back in the day, a lot of these projects were, you know, looked at more of like from a more passionate angle, but then, you know, the money talk became louder and louder and louder over time. It seemed like, especially when I was, you know, starting from when I was a kid, and then video games got very popular, and then so executives wanted to make video games much more mainstream, and then, you know, we kind of lost that essence, the passion and all that stuff in between, which is why a lot of the video games that do come out don't really hit the same, you know. And a lot of the video games now we see today are live services, gacha games, right? I mean, you know, I play gacha games because, funny enough, they do have the features that kind of help keep me playing the game. But besides the whole FOMO aspect, but like, you know, they have the content for me to do, which is to explore or grind for the characters, make them stronger or whatever. That's just kind of how it goes for me today, at least. But I'm sure that's just to some extent how people are, or how gamers are nowadays. I mean, it is what it is, but in this case, simply put, 2XKO just didn't have the key things down, you know. We can talk about the name. The name is kind of dumb and silly, you know, 2XKO. First off, I honestly thought it was going to be called Double KO, which might have been kind of funny, but still. But 2XKO, yeah, all right, you know, not the greatest name for a fighting game that features League of Legends. I mean, it should just been like League of Fighters or something like that. Something simple, right? I don't know what, who or what came of that name being the final name for it. Project L, I mean, obviously it wasn't going to be called Project L, but even that has a better ring to it because it's just, you know, L, Legends, League of Legends, right? LOL Fighters. You know, that honestly would have caught on, I think, better than 2XKO because, you know, LOL. You know, hey, haha, look, LOL, right? Get some sort of better attention than 2XKO. It's like, what is 2XKO? You know, it could be anything, I guess. Oh man, it is again, it is sad. You know, we had a tournament at Evo. There was just a little bit of promotion in a different angle, right? You know, they were giving out the merchandise. I have like their hoodie somewhere I got from the swag side of things at Evo. Now I'm just wearing, you know, a name that's kind of dead, right? The game will continue online wise, right? Like you can play it still online even after 2026, but who knows how long that's going to last. And again, it is sad, right? Because I have a friend who really is well versed in League of Legends and really wanted certain characters to make it into the game, but not happening now. So it's I do feel for my friend. I can sympathize, and it sucks, you know, when you do see something like that being wasted like that. It's so much potential left at the table, and it'll never be reached again because Riot decided so. You know, they didn't really put that much fate into the project over time. They just stopped caring for it at some point, I'm sure, or I'm assuming, and here we are talking about it. And that's really all I can say about the 2XKO as someone who only dabbed into the beta. You know, I tried to like it, but I just could not get behind the control scheme. No matter what buttons I put into the settings, I play around with it. It was just not for me. You know, maybe that is also an issue. I mean, the identity thing, and you know, do you want to be a single fighter or a tag fighter? I mean, pick your lane, whatever, right? But important thing is that, you know, gotta have the characters at launch, and then you gotta have the content, the single player content to do, right? What could you do? I mean, that's for them to come up with, right? You know, you probably could come up, probably could try just the typical arcade mode route, grab the endings, whatever, or something else. I don't know. But we didn't even get some sort of story mode for it. But I don't think it would need some sort of robust story mode. I think it just needed stuff to do, you know, stuff to unlock, achievements, something, right? Cosmetic pieces, you know, something. But you know, it wasn't there. It's all we could simply put. So I do feel for the devs, especially when they first were let go by half, and then now once the active development ends, they'll have to go somewhere else. It sucks. Again, it's such a bad situation. It really is. Coming from both a fighting game enthusiast and just someone who appreciates video games in general, because it had so much potential. You know, even though I'm not like a League of Legends enthusiast or a fan or anything like that, you know, I had never played an actual game of League of Legends. I just watched my other friend play it. That's really much it. I kind of know a little bit about the characters, but that's about it. I understand that, you know, like Jinx and Ari is, you know, one of the popular ones. You know, it's got a lot of fan art. Fan artists go do town with it. But yeah, the ball was dropped, and it sucks. So that's it from me. What do you guys think of 2XKO? Did you guys play it? Did you guys only hear about it just now? What are your comments about 2XKO? I'd like to see that in the comment section below. Hit the like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel, and I really do appreciate it. So just wanted to talk about 2XKO because it's just another wasted potential, and I do feel bad for that. And yeah, that's like kind of one of my pet peeves. Is that the word for it? When it comes to wasted potential, it sucks. So thanks, and hope to see you all in next video. Ciao now.